Hi, I'm Dr. Rajani. Have you been considering the Hyapen? Do you use it? Have you had any problems, success with it? Were you thinking of purchasing it? If so, watch this video. I'm going to give you the top 3 issues that I see with it. I did a whole video on how to use it, unboxing of it, and I demonstrated using it, and I'll put a link to that in the description. But it's really important, even if you're using it and you enjoy it, to know what the top 3 issues are that you might have so you can deal with them. A quick recap of what this Hyapen is, if you don't want to go watch the whole video on it. It's a device where you put a cartridge of hyaluronic acid of some sort in, you kind of cock it back so it fills it with air, and it's like a gun, and it blows the product in through the skin to the depth it should go at. So the Hyapens have been sold all over the internet. There's anywhere from $40 to $4,000 you can get them. So many people who are proponents of this pen would say you need to buy the $2,000 pen. To be quite honest, while some of them are a little better in functionality, the end result, I haven't seen a big difference in the different types of pens. People with the most expensive pens that I go into their practice, and they still fired them in the garbage. And I'll also tell you that I've noticed a big decrease in people using it. And at the time I did the original video, I mentioned that I was working with a couple of reps who had purchased thousands of them. They started distributing them. They were using them in clinics, and they just end up throwing them all away and wouldn't sell them to clinics anymore for one of many reasons. And now that it's been around a long time, and if you watch the comments on those videos, you can see some people still do like them. But let's dive into your top 3 issues that can occur, so you go in wide-eyed and you know what you're going to get yourself into. So the number 3 problem is that the product doesn't go anywhere. The reason is the dermis is thick, and to get through it, the particle size of whatever you're putting in there needs to be 500 Daltons or less, or it could be lipophilic, and filler isn't. So the particle size is the number 1 issue, and the product doesn't go anywhere, particularly if it's where the dermis is thick. The lateral face, the chin area, where is it the thinnest? Of course, the mucous membrane in the lips. And that's why a lot of times people use this device for lips only. Some people will say they use it at nasal folds. Certainly the dermis thins there, as you know from your chemical peels, because if you're doing peels, you know this area and the under eye, as well as the lower face, right at the edge by the chin is where you're going to have problems with your peel not healing well. That also tells you where the dermis is thinner, and a lot of people don't realize it for here and here. So some people are successful with the pen in the nasal folds because the dermis does change, but in general, number 3 problem is it just goes nowhere and it's all over your face. So it's wasted and it could be expensive. Problem number 2 is the need to dissolve the product. It's not uncommon, and then you're stuck with, especially if people are doing it at home, they got the product in there, now they need to get dissolver, and the dissolver of course has to come, Hyaluron today's in a cool state. You have to often need a medical license to get it, and so they're going to clinics to get it dissolved. And the reason is, when you're trying to blow a product through, let's say it is of the size where some of it gets through the skin, there will be some superficial, medium, and then very deep if it has a strong enough force of the air, as well as if it was put along the skin appropriately flat and firm. Needing something dissolved, especially if it's in a non-clinical setting, really puts the person in a bad position. The number 1 problem, and it's an issue, is that people don't know where this filler comes from. And on Instagram, I get a lot of people asking me, hey, what do I do? I got swelling in my lip in this area, but not over here. Seems to be there's a reaction to it, or a histamine release, or gosh, it didn't go down in swelling for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm sitting there wondering, was it a permanent product? So that's a whole nother issue, not knowing what goes in. But for me, what about the sterility of it? So certainly it could be something that's permanent. It could be something that the body's reacting to, but just take something that's not sterile. And if it truly is hyaluronic acid, now you need it dissolved to get it out of there. So people get scared pretty quickly. By day 2 or 3 is where I get the Instagram question in the picture. What do I do? I'm scared. And at that point it's really hard, because that's when you still could have swelling from the product, the device putting the product in through the skin, as opposed to just the product itself. So there's no way to know at day 2. Certainly swelling by day 7 to 14 is more alarming. And you might say the initial swelling concerns you for necrosis or occlusion. I will say, of all the problems people have sent me, I haven't seen occlusion with this yet. Not to say it can't occur, but likely because it's not getting to the levels of the vessels with the power to occlude it, and it's not getting through the vascular wall. And many people believe you need that to get an occlusion, much more likely with a needle, I believe. But that's it. That's the biggest problem, and it boggles my mind where people are concerned about getting vaccines, for instance. But if you see the products that come with the pen, that are little vials with who knows what, people seem to want to put them in their body, no problem. So I just don't get that part of it. I put a great playlist up here on devices, includes 2 great videos on the Hyapen where I unbox it, I inject it. You can watch those. Stay tuned here. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.